The marketplace of Kelver Station thronged with the usual chaos of a border outpost. Dozens of species haggled over goods, argued about prices, and conducted business in the neutral zone between three major galactic powers. The air recyclers struggled against the mixed atmospheres, creating a hazy fog that smelled of sulfur and ozone. Lyra pressed herself against the cold metal wall, her violet skin slick with fear. The four Grath enforcers had cornered her in the maintenance section, far from the crowded merchant stalls where someone might intervene. Their scales gleamed under the flickering lights, and their thermal weapons hummed with building energy. Thought you could steal from the Syndicate? The lead Grath, a massive brute named Cross, raised his weapon. The heating coils glowed orange, then red, then white. We make examples of thieves. Lyra's three-fingered hands trembled. She had only taken a data chip, proof that the Syndicate was trafficking children from the outer colonies. She needed evidence to bring to the Council to stop them. But now that evidence would die with her, the weapon's temperature climbed higher. Lyra could feel the heat from 3 meters away, waves of it distorting the air between them. In seconds, she would be nothing but ash and regret. Then someone stepped between her and the weapon. A human. He was tall by human standards, wearing a beaten leather jacket over a simple gray shirt. His dark hair was unkempt, and a scar ran along his jaw. He held no weapon, just a half-eaten protein bar. "Afternoon, gentlemen," the human said, taking another bite. "Hot day for a barbecue, don't you think?" Cross snarled. "Move, human, or burn with the thief." The human tilted his head, considering. "See, I would, but my mother raised me better than to let people roast teenage girls in alleyways." "Old-fashioned, I know. Your mother raised a fool." Cross adjusted his aim to include the human. Two corpses send the same message as one. Lyra found her voice. "Run, they'll kill you." The human glanced back at her, and she saw something in his eyes that didn't match his casual tone. Something cold and calculating. "How old are you, kid?" 17 cycles, she whispered. He nodded slowly, then turned back to the Grath. He crumpled the protein bar wrapper and tossed it aside. "See, that's what I thought. Just a kid." The heat from Cross's weapon intensified. The paint on the nearby wall began to bubble. "Last chance, human." "Funny thing about humans," the man said, rolling his shoulders. "We're persistence hunters. Back on Earth, we didn't have venom or claws or armor. We just kept coming. Our prey would run, and we'd follow. They'd rest, we'd catch up. Eventually, they'd collapse from exhaustion, and we'd still be standing." Cross laughed. "You think to bore me to death with history?" "No." The human's expression went flat. "I'm explaining why you should have taken the out I gave you." He moved. Lyra had seen many species fight. The Grath were known for their strength, the Vexians for their speed. But she had never seen anything move like the human. He closed the 3-meter gap before Cross could finish pulling the trigger, his hand snapping out to grip the weapon's barrel. The superheated metal should have melted his flesh. The Grath thermal weapons operated at temperatures that could cut through ship hulls. But the human held on, his jaw clenched and twisted. The weapon tore free from Cross's grip. The human spun it once and smashed it into the enforcer's face. The Grath scales cracked like pottery. The other 3 enforcers opened fire. Plasma bolts sizzled through the air where the human had been standing. He was already moving, using Cross's massive body as a shield, driving the stunned enforcer into his companions. One enforcer went down under Cross's bulk. The human dropped the thermal weapon and grabbed a plasma pistol from the second enforcer's holster, all in one fluid motion. He fired twice. The shots took the third and fourth enforcers in the knees, precise hits that dropped them screaming. The second enforcer swung a blade. The human leaned back, and the edge whistled past his throat. He caught the arm, stepped inside the guard, and drove his elbow into the enforcer's throat. There was a wet crunch. The graph collapsed, gasping. Cross roared and charged, his massive fists swinging. The human ducked under the first punch, blocked the second with his forearm, and drove his fist into the enforcer's solar plexus. Even through the scales, the impact doubled Cross over. The human brought his knee up into Cross's face. Once, twice, 3 times. The enforcer fell backward, unconscious before he hit the ground. Silence settled over the alley. The entire fight had lasted perhaps 15 seconds. The human stood among the fallen enforcers, breathing steady, his hand blistered and red from gripping the thermal weapon. He looked at it with mild annoyance, then at Lyra. "You okay, kid?" Lyra couldn't speak. She just nodded. He walked over and offered his good hand. "Name's Jack. You picked a bad spot for a nap." She took his hand, and he pulled her to her feet. "I'm Lyra. They were going to kill me." "Yeah, I got that impression." He glanced at the unconscious Graf. "What did you steal?" She hesitated, then pulled the data chip from her pocket. "Evidence. The Syndicate is taking children from the colonies. Selling them." Jack's expression darkened. He took the chip, examined it, then handed it back. "Council won't do anything. Too much money involved. I have to try." "Yeah?" He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Yeah, I suppose you do." Footsteps echoed from the main corridor. Heavy boots, lots of them. Jack sighed. "That'll be station security. They love showing up after the exciting parts." "They'll arrest you," Lyra said. "You attacked Syndicate enforcers." "Probably." He shrugged. "Worth it. Why?" She stared at him. "You don't know me. You had no reason to help." Jack looked at her for a long moment. "My sister was about your age when the raiders took her. I was off-world. Couldn't get back in time. By the time I found her ship, everyone aboard was dead." He touched the scar on his jaw. "Got this from the bastard who killed her." "I'm sorry," Lyra whispered. "Me too." He turned toward the approaching footsteps. "Listen, kid. You take that evidence, and you run. Find someone in the council who still has a conscience. Probably won't work, but you try anyway. That's what being brave means. What about you?" "I'll be fine. Humans are good at getting out of trouble." He paused. "Well, good at getting into it anyway. We're working on the second part." The security team rounded the corner, weapons raised. Their leader, a reptilian Saurus, hissed when he saw the scene. "Nobody move." Jack raised his hands, the bird one making him wince. I moved. Couldn't help it. These guys were being rude. The Soros approached cautiously, seeing the 4 unconscious Graf. "You did this? Alone?" "They started it," Jack said. "I was just trying to enjoy my lunch." Lyra slipped the data chip into her sleeve. In the confusion, none of the security team noticed her backing toward the service corridor. Jack caught her eye and nodded slightly. "Go." She ran. Behind her, she heard the Soros ordering Jack into restraints. Heard him complaining about the food in station lockup. Heard his voice fading as they led him away. 3 days later, Lyra stood in the council chambers. The data chip had found its way to a junior diplomat who still believed in justice. The evidence was undeniable. The Syndicate's child trafficking operation was exposed, shut down. 23 children freed. It made galactic news. The Syndicate screamed about illegal evidence gathering. The Council launched investigations. Arrests were made. But Lyra kept thinking about the human who had saved her life. She searched the station records and found that he had been released after one night. Self-defense, the report said. No charges filed. He had vanished after that, like smoke. She asked around carefully. A bartender remembered him. Yeah, the human. Jack something. Freelance trader, mostly. Heard he was heading spinward, toward the frontier. Another merchant recalled seeing him board a battered cargo ship. Saw him chatting with some kid before he left. Gave her something. Lyra found the kid, a young Vexian working the docks. The child showed her a credit chip. The human said to give this to anyone asking about him. Said someone would come looking. The chip held a simple message. Stay brave, kid. The galaxy needs it. Lyra clutched the chip, looking up at the stars beyond the station's viewport. Somewhere out there, a human wandered the frontier, helping people who couldn't help themselves. Fighting battles that weren't his own. Saving lives with nothing expected in return. The other species called it humanity's curse, this need to interfere, to stand between the strong and the weak. They said humans couldn't help themselves, that they sought out trouble like moths to flame. But Lyra understood now. It wasn't a curse. It was why humans were different. Why they were terrifying and wonderful in equal measure. They persisted. They endured. And when someone needed help, they stepped forward, even when the smart thing was to walk away. The galaxy had its empires, its ancient powers, its mighty fleets. But humanity had something else. Humanity had heroes. And sometimes, Lyra thought, watching a small cargo ship disappear into the hyperspace lanes, one hero was enough to change everything.